So here we are again, another weekend. Hopefully it's a good one. It's amazing how weekends are supposed to be one of the best moments or times during our week. But life can sometimes throw you a curveball, and what used to be the best time can be a time of sitting on pins and needles, right? Yeah, and all of a sudden, your weekdays become your better days instead of your weekend. But I guess it's a matter of perspective. But I hope you're well. And if you're not, hopefully you'll be well very, very soon. So, what am I talking about today? Well, what I want to know today is what are you willing to do? Yeah, what are you willing to do? You're probably saying, what am I willing to do for what? What are you willing to do for me? Yeah, what are you willing to do? For me, for whomever. You can fill that blank in with whatever is your liking, whatever you're choosing. You're choosing. But what I want to know is what are you willing to do? You see, life is very, very funny when it comes to certain things. And you have people who come into your life, people who come out of your life. But what I want to focus on is the people who are in your life because they're supposed to be there. And for some people, certain people in your life, those times together are really treasured. They're very cherished. They're very limited, which makes them more special. I don't even want to say more special because I think any and all time spent is special with the right person. But when you're limited or restricted, it just seems to, have some of the air sucked out of you. So the question I want to ask you is, what's harder? Is it the separation or is it anticipation? Yes, is it the separation or is it the anticipation? Now, separation, what do I mean? Well, what I mean is that you're spending time with someone who is of great importance and great value to you. Someone very, very special, cherished. And you enjoy every moment of the time spent with that person. But eventually, you have to part ways for whatever reason. It could be a short amount of time. It can be a long period of time. It could be a short period of time that feels like forever. It all depends on you and the other party involved. So I want to know what's harder. What does the separation feel like for you? Does it feel like some of you is being wrung out of you, like the air is being wrung out of you? Does it feel like someone's plucking your teeth? Does it feel like it's okay and it's only a matter of time? How does separating from someone so special, so treasured to you, how does that separation feel? Is it worse thinking about the separation? Or is the actual separation hard? Or is it both for you? It has to be hard because you don't know what monkey wrenches or things that may pop up in between the next time you come together again. So how do you prepare for the inevitable separation? How do you soothe yourself? How do you get through it? Do you block it? Do you hide it? Do you ignore it? Do you process it? Do you deal with it? Are you hopeful? Is it as hard for you as it is for the other? Something to think about, separation. And then when you actually part ways, then you're back in the cycle of anticipation. When you're going to come together again. Is it going to happen? Is there going to be a delay, a sickness, an emergency, something that pops up that keeps that encounter from happening again? So you're in this continuous cycle of separation, anticipation, which basically translates into desire. Now, do you have to go through this cycle of separation and anticipation to have desire? I don't think so. It depends on the people involved, the chemistry and everything else like that. But what I want to say is the strain of the separation it takes a toll, but you find a way to kind of sail through it, don't you? And then you have the anticipation to build up. You get anxious, excited, you're scared. There's just all these other different emotions that you feel when the moment comes that you come together again. But what I asked you in the beginning is, what are you willing to do? Because to deal with separation, whether it's separation anxiety or whatever you want to call it, you have to find a way to placate, to soothe yourself. And even when you're anticipating, you also have to placate and soothe yourself. So what do you do? And how do you do it? And what are you willing to do? You see, life is very, 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 very funny. Life will have you doing things that you never thought you would do. As human beings, we are really, really creative, innovative when it comes to things that we want and what we are willing to do to get it, or to have something to hold on to until we can get it again. Think about the times that you have done things that you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Why did I do that? And how come I didn't do it with anyone else? Why am I doing it with this person? Different connections require different things now, don't they? They do. Different connections require different things. And each relationship that you have, that connection is different. That connection is unique. And a connection is basically a bond. A bond between two people. You can call it a tether. You can call it a bond. You can call it connection. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But the question, the real question is, what are you willing to do for that bond, for that connection, for that tether between you and another person? What are you willing to do? How do you maintain feeling that warmth, that closeness when your loved one is not with you? How do you keep them with you? They're always in your heart. They're always in your mind. But sometimes that is just not good enough. Now, a number of us have a number of folks that we just don't give a fuck about. So yes, we know that not everyone we encounter we're going to miss. We don't give a fuck about missing them. But there are some that you hold very near and dear, because there's no substitute. There's no replacement for them. There can never be a substitute or replacement. So what do you do with situations like that? Where you have someone where there's no substitute, there's no replacement, there's no next best, there's nothing. Person is in a league of their own, always has and always will be. How do you deal with that separation? How do you deal with that anticipation? How do you placate those waters and soothe yourself until it happens? Now, a number of you, I guess each one of us, we have our own different ways of dealing with a situation when you can't have your loved one with you all the time. And that's why I said life is funny. Some of you, you will smell a person's pillow. You will smell their shirt. You want to keep one of their personal belongings. Some of you, you want to try a special juice that a person makes. Yes, a juice that only they can make. You can't replicate it, and you cannot buy it from any place else, because what they make, that juice, is only done by the hands of them. So you find yourself doing and trying things that you've never done before, all because of the bond and the connection that you have. Now let's say this person makes a juice, and you love the juice, and you want more and you want more and more of it. And you know you can't find it any place else but from that special loved one of yours. And the funny thing or the wild thing is, you have never or wanted to try that juice before until you met that person. What do you think about that? Where you have a connection and a bond so strong, so overpowering that you try things, do things that you've never done before and you never thought you would do before. And you'll do it over and over and over again. That, I would say, is a very unique, rare, special connection. And the reason why you go out of your way to try someone's juice, to hold on to an object, an article, a piece of their clothing, a watch, a card, an email, a song, whatever. We all have our different sentimental things that we hold on to. But why are we holding on to it? We're holding on to it because we want a closer connection. When that person's not with you, you want to feel like they are with you. I'm not saying that the bond weakens, the connection weakens. No, it doesn't weaken. It's so strong and overwhelming that you need a piece of that person, something that has touched them or it's made by them. You need to have that with you because then it feels like they are with you. Yes. It's like their wax seal. They're like, the royal wax seal like they do in England when they seal the leather, a king or queen. They put their signature wax seal. You want that person's wax seal on you, with you. You want it with you. Because that is the next best thing that you can have besides having that person with you. So what have you done? Or what are you willing to do to keep your loved ones with you? And does it amaze you? Does it surprise you as, wow, I did that and I'll do it again? You see, if you have someone in your life and when they're not around, it doesn't faze you, it doesn't bother you, what that tells me and what it should tell you is that that connection you have is not very strong. It's something you can do without, you can live without. But when you have something that you cannot do without, you can't be without because you need it, and it's powerful, what do you think about that? Then you get really, really creative on how to have different aspects of that person with you. Whether it's something they make and you ingest within yourself, whether it's something that you wear on your body, whether it's something that you have next to you while you're sleeping. Whatever it is that appeals to your five senses, what have you done and what are you willing to do? Now, you and I both know that will never be sufficient, whatever you have, but it's enough to get you through the separation and the anticipation. You never thought about it that way. No, because you want to maintain that closeness. You want to feel, you want to sniff. We have five senses for a reason. And when you can't see your loved one, and you can't touch them, and you can't hear them, and I'm sure I'm missing about two other five senses, but whatever. When you can't get those five senses taken care of like you normally do within their presence, you really get creative. And I would love to hear different forms of creativeness that you guys have, or you're doing now, you've done in the past, to maintain that closeness. You see, this type of closeness that I'm speaking about, it's something that words cannot describe. It's a connection on many, many different levels. And it's something that it's like a shadow. It stays with you and it comes with you. And it's so much and so wonderful that even when you guys are together, you find yourself not like yourself. For example, if you're a person with many thoughts and many words that you like to share and say, but when you aren't in each other's presence, a powerful presence, you can't say much because you surrender. You become submissive. You don't know what to say. You have so much to say, that you don't know what to say or where to start, because you are in the presence of something that is very powerful, very intoxicating, very consuming. It becomes a life force and energy that feeds your very being. Now, wouldn't you want to be around something powerful like that? Something that basically, it cocoons you. It cocoons you so much that you don't have a shit to say, because you're trying to soak up as much as possible before you have to part ways again. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whether it be the sound of a voice, the scent, the touch, the vibration, whatever you get, you can't even get the words out of your mouth because you're so much in the moment, you're so much in the experience, because you're trying to take it all in until the next time you come together. It consumes you, and you willingly surrender to it, because it's not like anything you've ever experienced before, and you're sure it's nothing you'll ever experience with anyone else, and you only want that from that person. And that is when you get that motivation, that drive to find those creative little things, big things or little things, that allows you to hold a piece of that person with you. Whether it's internally or externally, you work very hard to make that happen. Now, why do we do it? Well, I did mention that it's to maintain that bond and that connection. But I want to go deeper than that. Because when you are with that person that you feel a need to try to have their juice, let's say, or an article of clothing, or a song or something that they wrote for you or something they made for you, when you have a need to have that, why is that? And I would tell you, because that person, whoever that is, it's feeding something that is deep within you. Probably something you didn't even know that you had, or you were aware that existed, that had a need to feed, that needed to be satiated. It's funny, we go through life and we don't know that we have these needs, desires, until we meet someone that stirs it awake. Yeah, we go through life like asleep or numb, not aware of our own needs, wants, and desires. We become accustomed to circumstances, environment, and whatever else around us. And we think this is what life is. But then you meet someone who basically thunderbolts you, strikes you to your core. And then you start to awaken within. And you get all these urges, and you feel restless, and you feel like, okay, you're coming out of a shell, you're coming out of a coma, you're coming out of being, mummified. You're getting rid of all that. And another you is reemerging. And that other you, it needs to be satiated, it needs to be fulfilled. Because this other you is actually who you are. It's who you have been. Yeah. Nothing comes out of a mummified, coma-like state unless it's the true you, the real you. The other you that you've been familiar with, that's not who you are, which is why you've been dissatisfied. You've been dissatisfied. You've been deprived. You've been unfulfilled because you've been living a life that's not true to you. You've been doing things that's not true to you. And when you get to see a glimmer, and eventually that glimmer becomes as bright as the sun of who you are, then you start gravitating to what balances you out, what gives you happiness, what gives you peace, what gives you calm, what gives you zen. That's when it fits, that's when it's right. And that is when you find yourself doing, saying, trying things that you would never, ever do before or do with anyone else. You want that bond, that closeness that can't be replicated and cannot mirror anything you've had before with anyone else. You want it so unique, so special, because you want it to honor what it is that you have with this person. You want to consume every aspect of that person. If you could cannibalize them, you would. I don't suggest you should, because it's illegal. It may be slightly disgusting, but hey, I can't talk about your preferences. But I'm speaking figuratively. You want to enjoy every part of that person, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. You want to connect on many different levels, like a motherfucking octopus. You want to connect. You want to connect. So when you want to connect on that level, there's no regrets. There's no shame. There's just straight anticipation and planning for the next time. Because as far as I'm concerned, each time should get better and better and better. Things change, moods change, energy change, and you reflect and you act on that shit. That's just how it is. So what are you willing to do? And what will you keep doing? And when you don't want to keep doing it, hint, hint, clue, clue, that means the thrill is gone. If you had someone that you were willing to do things to keep that closeness, that bond and connection, and you find yourself not willing to go that extra mile, you don't want to put the energy and creativity into that, what that tells me and what that should tell you, that shit is not working. That is not working. And you want to find a person, place, or thing that basically you want to eat from the outside in and the inside out. You want to consume their core, their being. You want them with you. So the next time you feel that you miss someone terribly, one thing I want to tell you is don't feel ashamed about that shit at all. Don't feel ashamed about it. Some of you miss people and you feel apprehensive about letting them know or letting it show. But the eyes never lie. They tell your true feelings. And sometimes, some of us, we miss people who do not return the feelings. And that is an unfortunate situation. But if you're in a situation like that where you're missing someone, feeding for someone, and those feelings are not being reciprocated, first, I feel sorry. But two, you need to figure out why you have such strong feelings and why the other person does not. And then you might want to consider finding an alternative source that can give you back what you need, because you don't want to pursue or want something that doesn't want you back. You want that shit to be mutual, a two-way street that interchange, that exchange just goes back and forth, back and forth. If it's lopsided, which means you want someone more than they want you, that shit won't work. It will never work. And it's easier for you to cut the cord now instead of coming up with creative ways to maintain that attachment. Because what you're doing there, that's just straight torture. But what I'm talking to you about is when it's mutual. When it's mutual, where you can share things and experiences with great comfort and ease, because that bond, that connection is just like that. Just like that. And when you have a bond and connection like that, you want that person to know that it's like that. You want that person to know that there never has and there never will be anything that could come close to it. So what I'm doing with you and what I have done with you, know that it's just been with you. Because I've been waiting for you. And you want that person to know that. There are no accidents. I would say there are no coincidences, but people say life is full of coincidences. It's just, a matter of when things happen. Things are intentional. And what was done was to keep you with me in all way, shape, and form. until the next time we cross paths again. And you want to make sure that whoever that special is, that loved one in your life, you want to make sure that they know that shit also. Make it known, make it clear, because when you let them know that shit, that makes your bond, that makes your connection even stronger. It makes it fierce. It makes it ferocious. It feeds off of each other. So, the next time, or you could have someone with you now, that you love dearly, you hold them in the utmost regard. Like I said, because there's no substitute, there's no replacement. And when I say there's no substitute and replacement, I want to make something clear. A number of us, we meet people, we fall in love, we think they're the best thing since sliced motherfucking bread. And then we fall out of love. And then we fall in love with someone else and we think they're the next best thing since sliced bread. Yeah, I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking about something that there's no falling in and there's no falling out of. It just is. And it will always be is. Now, I know that sentence makes no goddamn sense. But listen to what I said. What I'm talking about, it just is. It exists. It exists like the universe, the solar system. Whether I'm dead or alive, the universe and the solar system will exist. So when I'm talking to you about a bond and connection, that shit just exists. There's no in and out. There's no coming and going. It is. Because it will always be is. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can do about it. There is nothing that anyone can say or do about it. No one can touch that shit. No one can change that shit. It is. It is a power unto itself. It's a life force unto itself. It cannot be touched. It cannot be tarnished. It cannot be destroyed. Nothing can change it, period. Nothing can interfere with it. Nothing can change it. Nothing can stop it. It is what it is. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're dealing with something that you can't do a fucking thing about. And all you can do is sit the fuck back, be grateful, accept it, and count your blessings. That's what I mean by is. So all those other things that you have, relationships, things like that, no, I'm not talking about no shit like that. I'm not talking about something completely different. So let's be clear. Let's be clear. It's something that you, if you do something wrong, it's like doing it wrong to yourself. You can't do it. You know how typically you're in relationships with people and you do things, do some foul shit, you know, and you apologize, whatever, it's no big deal. No, what I'm talking to you about is if you do something that's not good, it's like you're doing it to yourself. You cannot do anything to cause harm because in turn you're harming yourself. That is the type of connection I'm talking about where love, care, respect, attention, compassion, friendship, any and everything you can think of is wrapped into that. It's everything. It's everything that you get, what you get from 12, 20 different people, you get that from that one motherfucking person, that one relationship. And most of you can understand what the fuck I'm talking about, but some of you can. A number of us have different people in our lives who serve different roles. I'm trying to tell you that there are relationships where one person can meet the needs of 10, 20, 30 different people in your life. Now, what the fuck do you think about that shit? You think I'm making the shit up? Well, you can think that, but I'm not. So when I say some of those connections, it just is and it always will be, that is the shit I'm talking about. It is powerful. It is fulfilling. And it's one of the best blessings you can have. So when you have some shit like that in your life with a person, you will try their juice or whatever else to have that connection, that bond, to keep that person with you by any means necessary. And even when they are with you, you want more of them. You want to ingest, grasp everything more. You want to be swallowed whole, you want to be swallowed live, and you want to be fucking regurgitated again and have that shit happen over and over again. It is consumption. It is cannibalization. It's being eaten down to the bone, and shit goes back and happens all over again. That is what I'm talking to you about. So what are you willing to do for that? Are you willing to do something that you've never done before? Are you willing to try something you never tried before? Are you ready? What are you willing to do? Different types of relationships require different things from you. But when you have the ultimate relationship, the ultimate connection, the ultimate love, you will do the ultimate things in that with safety, security. You can be vulnerable, you can be honest, you can be funny, you're secure, you're safe, you're not judged, you're accepted as you are. The good, the not so good, the pretty, and the not so pretty. All of you is accepted, point blank, as is, face value. Now, how many of you have that shit? How many of you have that? Yeah, not most. When you can lay it bare and not be judged, be purely accepted. As is, purely accepted. Now, what would you be willing to do for that? Yeah, you'll take juice, you'll take whatever is necessary to be as close as possible. You want to be as close as possible. If you could merge your motherfucking bodies together, you would, literally. You would become a two-headed motherfucking dragon if you could do that. Actually, eventually you'll probably want to merge your two motherfucking heads together. That's how close you want to be. So whether you guys are having stuffed animals, a song written, making a video, a love letter, a pillow, an article of clothing, or you're trying having that special juice that is made, that cannot be replicated, that was had with love and joy, and is going to be had again and again and again. And did I mention again? So, when you figure out what you're willing to do, make sure you do that shit. And make sure that special loved one of yours, they know you're doing it. And they know you're doing it because you love them and you miss them even when you're with them. And when they're not with you, you miss them too much. You got to let people that you care about know how amazing they are. There's no substitute for them. And they are where they belong, which is with you. Do you understand? Which is with me, which is with you. So when you make that known and they understand that, you make sure you show them that in every way, shape, or form. You surrender to them with ease and enjoyment because you enjoy their power, their strength, their intelligence, their humor, everything about them you absolutely love. The impatience, the temper, everything is loved, appreciated, and enjoyed. And when I said everything, I mean everything. A number of us like to get people and we like to change them to be something that is conducive to who we are. What I'm telling you is if you find a need, you need to change someone, then that person's not right for you. You need to accept people and everything about them as is. And if you can do it as is, then that person is right for you and you're right for them. But if you feel a need to tweak someone and can't accept for who they are, then you're not willing to do what is necessary for that bond and connection, and you need to let that person go. But what I'm telling you, all of you is accepted. The past, the present, the good, the not so good, the ugly, the pretty, everything is taken whole because that is how much you are cherished, loved, appreciated, and respected beyond belief. And I personally, I don't respect people very easily. Let's be clear. That shit has to be earned. So if I'm telling you I respect you above all others, and I hold you in the highest regard, like my children, you're above and beyond the rest. No one, nothing will come close, will compare to you, point blank as is. So, you get that juice ready. And you keep it ready. Keep it ready. Even if you're mass producing that shit, there's only one customer. Let's be clear. There's only one customer. If there was any confusion, there's only one customer, and that customer would be me. So, the rest of you, you think about what you're willing to do. You figure out why you're willing to do it, and make sure it's the right stuff to help you get through when you have to separate from your loved one, and you need it to hold you over anticipation till your paths cross again. I gotta say goodbye. So think about what I said, and we will speak again very, very soon. Until the next time.